What's up, YouTube? Dan the Man. Got a day off, so that means another video. Coming to you from the Neon Man Cave. Alright, so today we'll talk about reality of survival now. Reality of survival now. Shit hit the fan, without rule of law in our time, now. So, everybody talks about conspiracy theories, whether it be apocalypse, zombie apocalypse, government's evil plan, a financial breakdown, long-term apocalyptic type deals where, you know, the whole world's going to end. Oh no, let's run for the hills, bug out. But, I'm not going to go into that. I've got my own beliefs, and a lot of that holds true in my mind, but we'll talk about now. So instead of giving people the fuel to say conspiracy theorists, you know, and exaggerated claims and all these things, let's talk about right now. And I'll try to compare right now to what could happen, and even if it didn't, right now is you know, reality. So for me, I want to get the word out. Not so much if you don't believe that everything's going to fall down all around you, and you think that people are overreacting or exaggerating what could or will happen, then at least look at now and what's going on now, and why you would probably need to still prepare for something that's going to happen relatively soon. So the example I'm going to use today is ice storm, okay? Believe it was January 30th. Today is the 14th of February, 2014. So we're talking just last month. Ice storm, and I saw the meteorologist saw the ice storm coming, and so Atlanta gets hit with an ice storm on the 30th of January, 2014. Now we're not talking about you know, asteroids falling from the sky, man. We're talking about an ice storm. Happens all the time. So what happens? Were people ready? I don't think so. Now, the other thing to remember is, was the government ready? The people that supposedly are supposed to protect you, were they ready? I remember the mayor or the governor issuing an apology and taking the blame and responsibility, which is kind of refreshing in this environment of politics. He actually took the blame for something. He actually you know, owned up for it. But anyway, so they weren't ready, and the people weren't ready. And so would you be if something happened? Maybe it's not ice storm, maybe it's an earthquake, or maybe something worse. So anyway, in that one day, 1,500 accidents on the freeways and roads around Atlanta. $1,500 in one day. Gridlock. People stranded 2 to 3 days. Some people, where they were is where they had to stay. And we'll get to that. Why is that important? Some water lines frozen. People without water for days. Power out. Nothing moves. Nothing. When I say nothing moves, remember, when you're bugging out, everyone's going to bug out in your gigantic 4x4 or your little, I don't know, your little Toyota with bad tires. Nothing moves. Where are you going? So nothing was moving. People stranded. And that was for about 3 days. They had everything cleared up. 2 days they were moving. That's a little ice storm. I mean, it's a big storm, but it's a storm. It's not a frickin', you know, dirty bomb. It's a storm. So that's an example of last month, and we're going to go through more and elaborate a little more on what happened and what would you do. So, you know, what if it was something worse? What if it was what I went through, which was more months instead of days? Hurricane, no power, no water. Weeks, months, no phone, none of that, no cell. Then what? Then where will you be, and what will you do? How are you going to get anywhere? And if you can't go anywhere, how are you going to survive with what you have? So basically, let's say, you know, a terrible thing happens, and let's say it's a natural disaster. I mean, I don't know, an earthquake if you're in California, a bad tornado that just devastates you. And those are just small scale things that can happen. Think about what you would do. Now, in Atlanta, you're not going to be venturing out of your house if you can help it. You're going to stay. But what would you want to have in that house? Okay? And do you have it? You know, here's what I say you need to have. How much would that be worth if it was the last one on the shelves? Okay? And I'm going to give you an example of that. Got to have some, and I'm not saying canned, you got to have food. You've got to have this stuff. Water. Okay? And you do need some type of shelter. You know, some type of shelter. Move my water over here. And for me, as you know, you got to have protection. So you're going to need some of that. And while you're at it, you might want to have one of these. Show you the new project. Okay? Not done yet, but M1 carbine. Good zombie gun. Got to have protection, food, water, shelter. Also instant coffee. I just thought I'd add that in. That gets you going in the morning, if you know what I mean, going. I don't go anywhere without that in my pocket. Just walking around. So in an emergency, and you might want to have some of these ready, which are loaded magazines. That's the nice 30 rounder. Think about it. What do you have even in your car? Do you have one of these? You know, or even one. Even you don't need the fancy one. What about one of those? You get stranded and you got to walk. It's dark. Do you have an extra jacket in your car in the trunk that you should just throw it in there? And you got it, and you can survive. So just things to talk about. Now, this is just the 2-3 day storm you'd want to have. I mean, if you got to hunker down, even for 3 days, no power, you know some people have nothing. And just to have the comfort of if you need that, you got it. If you're hungry, you can eat. And when you're thirsty, you can drink. Forget about flushing your toilets. I got enough water. I'm going to be able to flush my toilets. I got to be comfortable. But think about that. Now, to move on from that, a couple of weeks later, on about the 9th of February, the meteorologist on the news announced another storm coming to Atlanta. It's actually still going. It just passed through yesterday. And what happens then? Now people have had the hint. Just imagine when people don't have a hint or a kick in the ass, you know, you're going to have mass hysteria, ridiculous amount of runs on stores and so on. But what happened when they announced another storm? Well, that's exactly what happened. Runs on the stores. So what did you see? Empty shelves, people lining up at gas stations, and that's a short term. They're knee-jerk panicking because they actually had a hint, which normally you're not going to get that hint. They had a hint 2 weeks ago of what was coming, and they freak out. So imagine when people have no hint, they not only would run as soon as they can to get what they can, they really have nothing. At least these people had already been through a week of it and had a hint of what was coming. Boy, when it's a surprise, you're pretty much screwed. So, in our time, you know, people line up for different kinds of things, and it's ridiculous to me. By the way, that's the line for the new iPad. Make sure you have one of those when there's no cell, no Wi-Fi, and no power. Make sure you got your new iPad. It's gonna really help you a lot. Look at people line up for those. But remember, not long ago, there were other kinds of lines. So I'm not going to stretch it on and on today, but basically wanted to show you a real-time, real-day situation that's happening right now where you've got a very small weather issue, very small, a few days, and a whole city shuts down. The entire city is just nowhere to go, and nobody's coming. Everybody's leaving. But you're not getting anywhere. So if you don't have some food, even to get you through the 2 days, to not have to go and fight with these people that aren't ready, some food, some water, something to protect yourself, and some shelter, and some instant coffee. This is crappy, but it's got caffeine in it. You know, you're really in bad shape. I hope the worst doesn't happen. I hope everyone's right. All the people that tell me that I'm a conspiracy theorist, if I start going into that, this video is going to go over. But, I mean, come on. Storm, flood, tornado. Have what you need on hand. And it's very easy. It's not expensive. And again, water, some food so you can eat, some type of shelter or somewhere you can get to and go. And if you are going to bug out, you know, you probably should have decent tires on your car. But just kind of a real-time, real-day thing to think about. Because something's coming. I can't tell you what it is. But I know where I'll be. Hopefully I'll be right here in the Neon Man Cave. Anyway, Dan the Man, like I always tell you, you better be ready. Aloha. Go home.